Oh, so hey, what's going on here, fourth grade? Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the engineering method as a way to solve problems. And I have to tell you guys, this right here is worth $1,000,000. This engineering method is used around the world to solve all kinds of problems. So you've got a problem that needs a solution. This is a method you could use literally today, tomorrow, and like in the next 100 years. It'll work. So the first thing you do whenever you're using the engineering method is you're going to have a problem. That's why you came here in the first place. So you have to define the problem. That means figuring out, asking questions and going, well, what's wrong? What do we need to do? What goal do we need to accomplish? Don't always think of the problem as necessarily being something bad. It might be a challenge that you want to meet or something you want to succeed at. So you define the problem. Now you have to define it carefully and be specific. So in our case, we're dealing with a leprechaun. Now we want to try and capture this leprechaun. So take your science notebooks here, STEM notebooks. And what I want you to do is I want you to write this down. Just write problem / challenge. And really, I'm going to help you define this problem. We need to capture a leprechaun. And that's it. I'm going to put in parentheses, must be alive. We must not harm the leprechaun in the process of capturing the leprechaun. If you do that, we're not going to get the gold, which is our goal. So that's the first step of our engineering method, is to simply define the problem. So we're just trying to capture a leprechaun. The second step, this is one of my favorites, is you have to do your background research. So here's what I want to point out to you. We're not the first people in the world who ever had to deal with the problem of capturing a living thing. People have tried to capture animals for literally thousands of years, sometimes to take them alive, sometimes not. But in our case, we want to take it alive. So you want to see what other people have done in the past to try and solve these problems. We're going to use our own background knowledge for now to figure this out. So here's what you're going to do. At your table, with just by yourself, I want you to take your notebook and I want you to draw a picture of all of the different kinds of traps that you know of. So let me get you started with a free one. So one trap that I know of that works pretty well, at least on TV and movies, is the net trap. So if you have a leprechaun and you get him to come into the right place, you can get a net to fall on him. Now I'm going to put some weights on the ends of the net. That's a key ingredient here because, he could probably just wiggle his way out of there, but we'll put weights all around it to make it heavy so that when it lands, he can't get out from under it. So here's my little leprechaun. He does something to set off the trap, and boom, down goes the net. Now, this is just one trap. So I'm going to write down net trap. Trap number 1 for me. And what I want you to do now is I want you to take the next 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and I want you to draw out sketches as best you can of all of the different traps you've ever seen or heard of. Even if you think the trap might be dangerous, still draw it because we might be able to come up with a way to make it a safer trap to try and take the leprechaun alive. So right now, by yourself, voice level 0, I want you sketching and drawing different traps you know of. And that's our research step. So go ahead, work on that now. Okay, so here are some examples of traps that I thought up. And you see my old net trap. I remembered seeing this in movies before. There's the lifting net where you walk along and you don't see this net, and as you step into it, something makes it trigger, and then it lifts everyone or everything up in the net. Just imagine like a falling cup. That should work pretty well for a leprechaun. And then the classic trap door. Leprechaun walks along unsuspectingly and steps on something that, again, triggers the trap The trapdoor pops open, Leprechaun falls, and maybe down here, you know what, now that I think about it, wouldn't be a bad idea to have it land in a cup or something that I think it couldn't reach out of or jump out of. So these are 4 of my ideas. Now at your table, you all have come up with some ideas too. We're going to take a couple minutes and I want you to share your traps with your teammates. So this is kind of a team conversation time. Keep your voice levels low and let's see together what you came up with. Okay, so at this point, hopefully you and your partners have had some good discussion about some ideas you had and different traps that might work in solving our problem, which is to capture that leprechaun alive. You need to know about the 3rd step of the engineering method, though. And the 3rd step is specify requirements. Now, everybody who goes to solve a problem, grown-ups, teenagers, kids, we all have to deal with limitations. We don't have endless supplies to try and create a solution to a problem. Usually you have to have a budget or some kind of thing that holds your project back, a limitation. And that's actually, believe it or not, a good thing because it forces you to be creative. So I'm going to give you your list of required materials or materials that are available. This limits you. So what I want you to do is copy this down in your book also so that you know what materials you have available. We've got a cereal box of cardboard, like just one box, the kind. It doesn't have to be Lucky Charms or anything, but it would be helpful if as you and your family finish up your cereal that you bring the box in here to school so that you could use it. Probably I'm imagining the bigger the box, the better, because then you would have a little more material to work with. So this is coming from you. Some materials that come from me, I can provide you with 40 centimeters of string. If you wanted more than that, you're going to have to bring that yourself. Tape, I can supply that in reasonable amounts. You can't just take like one whole roll of tape all for yourself. You have to have reasonable amounts of it. I also have glue available, again, reasonable amounts. Plastic cups, I can spare 2 for every group. So whatever you decide to do with the cups, if you want them, you can use them. I have scissors, rulers, templates. We also have little bits, and I put a star by that. That's a requirement. You have to use little bits in your trap, and that's actually going to come in really handy. You'll be glad that you have to use them because you're going to want them. And another thing that we have to have is bait. Now, I'll provide some bait. I've got some fake gold coins here, which I'm sure will attract a leprechaun. So if you include this in your trap, I'm sure it's going to draw out a leprechaun. So that's basically your limit of materials. If you and your partners come up with some other materials that I haven't thought of, you can run it by me and let me know. Some of these I might have in the room, but others I might tell you would need to get from home if you're able to. Okay, so this is your list of materials. Make sure you copy this down so that you know what your limitations are, and that's going to help feed your creativity. So I'm going to pause for a minute while you do that. Okay, so now that you have your list of materials written down and you know what's going on with that, we need to get into the 4th step for today. And this one is probably one of my favorites. This is, can't read that very well. Get over here. This is brainstorming, evaluating, and choosing solutions. So this one is going to be you and your teammates talking together to come up with an idea that you think is going to work. Now, this would be a good time to get as many ideas together as you can. Now, you've already done some research, and that kind of helps you to do this stage quite a bit. But you're going to start discussing specifics now about these plans. So I put a big old question mark down here because questions are going to guide you. So think about the key questions. Probably the most important question you would have to ask is how. And right now, think about a couple how questions related to this trap. Well, one that pops up is, how are you going to build this? Okay, so how is it made? Is something you and your partners are going to have to address. Another one is how does it work? If you're going to do the net, how's it going to work? How are you going to get it to trigger or go off? You have to come up with those solutions for yourself. So how is going to be really important. Why would the leprechaun want to come in? Well, we've got bait. All right. Do you think this is the right bait? Maybe you think it should be something else. That's up to you guys to decide together as a team. Why? Let me see. Where are you going to put the pieces? Where are they going to be located? Let me see. How, why, where? What other questions are there? Who? Well, I guess we know the who, don't we? Little Mr. Leprechaun and your team. When? That could be a useful one. When is the trap supposed to be set? Or when is it going to be set off, I guess is what I'm really saying. That could also be a what question. What has to happen for the trap to go off? So you have all these questions to help build your thinking and give you things to talk about with your partners. So what I want you to do for the rest of this time period that you have is I want you to talk with your partners about some trap ideas that you have. Start to make drawings that are a little bit more specific than this, all right? And start thinking of it as a complete set. So for example, you might want to have, like, let's say you're going to have a set of stairs here. And you've got, like, a box. And let's say that you're going to use a trap door or something like that. Well, then maybe you're going to want to have a cup under there. And start to get specific about how this is going to work. You'd have a hinge and a door here. And it's supposed to swing out of the way. The leprechaun will fall down here. I guess I better put the bait over here. So I'll put, like, the coin. Maybe I'll tape it onto a piece of cardboard or something like that. And the leprechaun will walk up the stairs, come over here, see it, and then when it stands here, something's going to make the trapdoor fall. Hopefully besides just his weight. So that's the idea for what you're working on today with your partners. So take your time, talk it over, ask lots of questions, because this is going to be key to you being successful. All right, good luck. And don't forget, you have to figure out ways to include your little bits in here too. So you want to think about where the power is going to go, where your inputs and outputs are going to be. Are you going to need the orange ones for extra length, those wires? Think about all of the possibilities with your little bits and how they're going to help your trap to function. Good luck.